cafe anyway.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 2083, 2083. I'm Mike Matthews. Welcome to the show that is entitled Mike's Daily Podcast. I have this daily podcast I've been doing since I think 2011. Yes, Mike's Daily Podcast has been that way when in 2011 home prices were starting to go up, but now apparently home prices are dropping by something like, did I see 6.6%? That's crazy now. Hey now, Mike's Daily Podcast. Everybody, 2083, where will we all be? That's the question for you and me. Mike's, I think we'll be dead. Daily. But that's okay because podcast. We're going to, no, not all of you. Yeah. No, I know I won't be around. But that's okay because I'm going to do a lot of podcasts and have a lot of great conversations with people, spend a lot of time with my lovely lady friend, spend as much time as I have left with my wonderful Basil the Boxer, who's in the podcast picture today. And you know what? And then that should be good. Oh, and I'm also going to block a bunch of stupid random spam calls to my phone. Oh, and I'm going to do a lot of radio, and I have gone this far, and some people have gone by the wayside because they went, radio's not the same anymore. It used to be, you got to play whatever you want, blah, blah, blah. Well, radio was never that for me, so that's just, I understand the situation with that. There's this thing called advertisers, and you got to make money to keep the radio station going. It's all a happy, happy dream to think, oh, I'm going to play my favorite bands all day long and everyone's going to listen to me. It ain't going to happen. Sorry. Hey, but you know what? You've got this podcast. You can podcast and do whatever you want. And maybe a bunch of people will listen to you. It certainly is so not true.
And here's today's podcast picture.
With this show. But that's fine. That's fine. Because, like I said before, I'm busy doing things like enjoying time with great people and conversations and the mysteries that life holds. Hey, so the podcast picture today is of Basil the Boxer. This picture actually was taken back in April. We had a nice day. I took him to the park. But, you know, Basil can't walk, so I have to carry him to the park, and that involves me being strong. And oh, there he is now. Which he, you know what? I've decided that Basil could be at the most beautiful park on the planet. And that's right. And this is what Basil's telling me. He could be at the most beautiful park of the planet. It still doesn't compare to his wonderful little bed in the house with us surrounding him. Dogs love that. They want to be around you. Whatever you're doing, that's what they want to do. If you're sitting around all day and a couch potato and you've got a puppy, he's not going to like that. He's going to rip apart your socks and your shoes and everything else. That Kleenex box, it's gone. But you know, later in life, when dogs tend to retire, when they tend to do less activity, they just want to hang out with you. They just want to be your best friend, as they are. Dogs are best friends. I want to turn this off right now because I think I'm done speaking about this topic. Oh. Okay. What happened? Did I just... Oh, okay. Well, you'll have to see what I just did if you go to the YouTube channel, Mike's Daily Podcast. That's youtube.com/Mike's Daily Podcast. There you go. Because I think I may have pressed a button that... Oh, hey, there's some artwork in here that I wonder if I'm going to get dinged by YouTube. Because of the... Oh, you know what? We're going to go with the noir look. How about that? Yes. Or the sepia? Yeah. There's so many choices with the... We'll go with 8mm. Because 8mm makes it look all grainy and fun. And see that picture and that video at mikesdailypodcast.com. Last picture was of that house on 10 Hills, the 10 Hills Trail. And they recently repainted the side wall there next to the house. And it's got all these cool waterfalls. And I don't think it used to be kind of a Lake Chabot look, but now it's looking like some waterfall, cool land, nature. I don't know what it's supposed to be. But you see that when you're doing your walk on the 10 Hills Road. Did you hear the South Dakota governor may have exposed Donald Trump to the coronavirus? She flew with Trump on Air Force One after being exposed to coronavirus. Kristi Noem had close interactions with Trump advisor Kimberly Guilfoyle. I think, is it Guilfoyle, who tested positive for COVID-19. That's that story. The other one is that Halle Berry apologizes for considering a transgender role. Okay, because she's not transgender. So who's the one that got in all that trouble with she did the, what was that called? Transamerica? Married to William H. Macy. I always forget her name. On Desperate Housewives. And she got in all that trouble with that school for paying money to help her kids get, special insider treatment. Well, anyway, she did the cafe anyway. She got an award for playing was she transgender? No. I watched the first 20 minutes of it and I was like, I've seen this movie 50 billion times. I used to go to art houses all the time. Not art houses, but there was this theater that showed independent movies. That's what it was. Is that the same thing? There was one in Santa Barbara that used to be in this really cool old theater, and you could go get a coffee, an espresso, and then sit in these big couchy chairs. Literally, they pulled couch chairs and TV couch recliner chairs from the thrift stores and put them in this theater. It was an interesting place. I probably picked up a couple lice on the way. I don't know. And Queen Isabella and Christopher Columbus statues inside the California Capitol are being removed. I had no idea we even had that statue in the California, in Sacramento. That will be for some interesting talk in Sacramento. So have you noticed when you hear someone, if you listen to a correspondent on the radio, a younger correspondent, and they're talking, let's say you're listening to a news channel and they're interviewing someone who's under 30, at some point they end their sentences with the word right. There's always a right in there. Isn't that weird? It's almost a insecurity of saying what you're saying, right? So you gotta you're listening to what I'm saying, right? And you agree, right? So you have to throw the right in there. I don't know. I think we need to move away from that. And remember this wonderful proverb from Africa. He who forgives ends the quarrel. Thank you, Celestial Beginnings. Letting go of a rattlesnake. Somebody mentioned that to me when I said that quote. He who forgives ends the quarrel. And then someone added, yes, it's like letting go of a rattlesnake. Well, yes, we continue grudges that eat at our souls, that eat at our psyche for the rest of our lives. When some of this, we should just let it go, as that character from Frozen said. And have you seen, go on YouTube and you will see the ride that Disney has made. Usually I would sort of mock whatever has to do with Frozen, but this ride looked pretty amazing. There's really no, just visually, this ride it's a floating ride. You're on a boat, and kind of like a log ride that you see at all those amusement parks all over the world. And you're floating along and you see Olaf and what do you call it? The animatronics. There you go. of these things, kind of like Pirates of the Caribbean, these robots, how they move on their own and they look like people, sort of. And Olaf is there in 3D and he's talking to you and skating along, ice skating. And then you see all the characters from Frozen at some point in these different scenes. And then you're in the ice castle, you're floating along, and there you're in the ice castle, and the ice princess queen person sings that Let It Go song. And at that point, your boat stops and it backs up, and you're going through a different flume, but you're going backwards. And this entire hallway is covered with movie screens, which is big now with rides, as they put movie screens everywhere. And so you're moving along through the ride and you're seeing the movie screens, and the movie screens are showing something, some kind of scenery. It all goes back to Disney did this with a ride called the Speed Tunnel, or the Tunnel. It was with their People Mover. And they had a speed, or the Tunnel of Motion or something. And as you went through this tunnel, it was surrounded by a movie screen, and it was showing like you're traveling. As you're traveling through the tunnel, there are cars on either side of you racing with you, and then suddenly they're speedboats racing with you, and then all of a sudden you're in the air and you're flying. It kept like cutting between different situations as you were moving through this tunnel. Well, Disney has done it again with this Frozen ride, which they took out of they actually took a Norwegian ride that I rode on twice with my mom in Florida. That's where it's located, is at Epcot in Florida. Epcot is this amusement park that's got this huge technological area. It's supposed to be all about the future. It goes back to an idea Walt Disney had shortly before he died, around 64 to 66. He had said something to the effect of he wanted to create the Epcot, which is the experimental prototype community of tomorrow. I know this because I did a speech about it in high school. And it is a place that was supposed to be where people could live, but it was always going to be advancing with the latest technology, moving into the future. Disney the futurist. It was all about that. But then the Imagineers and the Disney company was like, how are we going to make money off of this? Let's make it into an amusement park. Everyone's heard the word Epcot so much. Let's actually turn it into an amusement park, have futuristic parts and rides. There's actually, I think is it still there? No, I think they may have recently taken it out. It was an Ellen DeGeneres ride where she's talking to you the whole time, and you actually see an audio animatronic Ellen DeGeneres at one point fighting dinosaurs. But I think that's gone. Where it was all about energy, and it had Bill Nye the Science Guy in it. And anywho, they also had in this other section this huge area, a big lake, and it was surrounded by all the countries of the world, or a huge swath of countries around the world represented there. Canada, Mexico, China, I think, Norway. So Norway section had a ride called Maelstrom, as in a huge storm. And they had Vikings in it. And at one point, there was a big oil platform, and you were in the North Sea. That part of the ride always blew me away. And then I found out later that they were actually going to have a Tesla coil in that room to create the effect of lightning, because you're supposed to be there during a storm, a maelstrom. But they realized maybe a Tesla coil and water, because it's a water ride, that's not a good idea. So they decided against it. But that ride lasted for, I think, a couple decades. And now it's gone and replaced by Frozen. But at one point during Maelstrom's ride, your boat would stop and suddenly you would go backwards. From what I heard, that was the only ride that ever had that, or up until that point was the only ride that would actually stop and go backwards, that had to do with a flume ride or a boat ride. So now Frozen's got it, and they made I think they took what was there and they did a really good job with what they had. They basically used everything that was there before with Maelstrom, but added all the Frozen stuff. And going backwards, as she sings Letting Go, and you see this on the YouTube channel, they've got the ride there. Someone filmed it in HD. It's amazing. So Will I ever go to Epcot? I don't know. It's going to be a while. It's so expensive. It's so hot there in Florida. It rains on you while you're walking around. Hey, look who's here. Hi, Mike. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How y'all doing?
It's a Disgruntled Fiddle Player telling you what.
What?
What I like about Florida are all the alligators.
Yeah, they got those there. Alligators. And you can actually eat them. They have a thing called gator bites. But you feel kind of guilty eating them. Or maybe you're tempting fate because maybe they'll eat you.
Yeah, I don't want that to happen.
Look who else is here.
Hello, Mike. I make the delicious root beer. Have some right now. I'll throw you to a alligator. I'll cut you.
We got some of what you just said. Thank you. Next show, it'll be the wonderful Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley. Hope we took you on a little ride today. Took you to the another side of the planet, maybe, away from your troubles and woes, and made you go, oh, that's interesting, Mike. Thank you. I will let it go. Because he who forgives ends the quarrel. That's where we'll end it. With FF episode 2083. Check out the website, mikesdailypodcast.com. You can tell me what you think about any of these topics that we covered today. Call me at 336-MM-DAILY. That's 3 + 3 = 6. MM as in Mike Matthews, Daily as in what this podcast has been for several days, right.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!